All right, folks, we got another exciting episode of Morphy's Games of Chess coming your way. And when I say exciting, oh boy, do I mean exciting. This is a good one, folks. You're going to want to stay tuned. Meek's not going to go down without a fight. Morphy's going for the sweep, baby. Can he do it? All right. Meek has the white pieces once again, and he tries the king pawn. Morphy answers with his king pawn. All right, they're toe-to-toe in the center. Meek brings the knight out, putting pressure on Morphy's e5 pawn. Natural move, Morphy with the knight to c6. The best square, the best move for black to defend the e pawn. All right, you develop the piece. You don't get into any of these nonsense lines. All right, good move. Solid move for Morphy, of course. What do you expect? All right, now in the other games, in round one, we saw Thompson, right? He would bring the bishop to c4. Aggressive move, aiming at the black king side. Good move. Meek in his first game against Morphy with the white pieces, he tried bishop to b5, the Ruy Lopez. But here, Meek's got a different idea. He's got it ready to go. Here it is. d4, striking at the black center right off the bat, okay? Striking in the center at move 3, putting those questions to black. What are you going to do? All right, don't panic. Don't worry. Our champ's got it under control. He swaps the pawns in the center. All right, as you know, Morphy disciples, folks. Morphy liked the open game. He loved those tactics. He loved that open board. He liked those pieces flying around. Before you know it, you got your combination and you're winning. All right, that's the Morphy style, the Morphy philosophy. Here we go. He's happy to trade off those pawns. All right. The knight takes back. It's the Scotch game, folks. Very popular. You see it today also, okay? You'll see that one now and then. No problemo, okay. But here, Meek tries a different approach. He gambits a pawn, folks. Pawn to c3. All right, now get a load of this. Right in the Bible itself, they say Morphy cheerfully accepts. This is called the Goring Gambit. Now, don't hold me to that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one right. You know, it's got the two little dots over the O. Folks, you know, come on. Call it what you want. This is a gambit. This is the first gambit of the book, folks, of our series. 300 of these chess games in Morphy's Games of Chess, folks. I hold a book in my hands, the knowledge. I'm trying to bring it to you. The first gambit, don't worry, folks. There's going to be plenty more where this came from, all right? Gambit's very popular back in the 1800s, the romantic period of chess. They loved gambits, okay? It was all about attacking the king, right? Before Morphy, it was all about the king hunt. All right, so basically these gambits play right into that. What's the point of a gambit, right? First gambit we're touching on. What's the whole idea? All right, so why are you giving an extra pawn to your opponent, right? I mean, it says Morphy cheerfully accepts. He probably took the pawn and went, ha ha, and he did a song and a dance, and who knows what happened, right? I wasn't there. I wasn't there at 1857, right? So anyway, the idea behind the gambit, all right, you develop the piece. All right, come on. The jokes are ready, folks. It's early. It's too early for this now. Come on, dummy up. Move 5. It's a little too early for the jokes. You don't want to take like this. You got to develop the piece, all right? You're trying to get the jump on your opponent. That's the gambit, all right? You're trying to get tempos, folks. You're trying to gain time. You're trying to get your men out quick, and you get the jump on your opponent. You put him under pressure. You got your kingside attack. You got the initiative. You got more pieces out while he's squirming around. He's twisting himself up in knots, trying to hold on to that extra pawn. That's the dangerous thing about the gambit, okay, if it works. All right, now on the 2,000, folks, right, you could go ahead. You throw the gambit at anyone under 2,000. It's good to go because the defensive techniques they're not as accurate. You know what I mean? You play this against a grandmaster in a long game, a 5-hour game, forget it, folks. He's going to sit there. He's going to analyze every move. He's going to slowly slip out of it. And then the next thing you know, you're in your game, and eventually the end game comes, and that grandmaster's still up a pawn, folks. It's all he needs. It's all he needs. 8 or 9 times out of 10, or I should say maybe 90, 100 times, 99 out of 100. He's got you, folks. He's got you with that extra pawn. All right? You don't want to go that route. All right. So anyway, that's the gambit philosophy. That's the idea. Get the jump, okay? All right. So now you're saying, all right, tempos, right? You're trying to gain tempos. Now look, here's what the masters say. Let's talk about tempos now too, because the masters have a very interesting line here. They say, Morphy cheerfully accepts the gambit, right? But they say pawn to d3 is considered the safe reply, right? Now look, folks, what's the difference? Maybe you're asking yourself. If I take this pawn, right, he develops a piece and by taking back. All right, but I'm up a pawn. Now, how is this the safe reply? If I push up and he could develop this guy and take the pawn, and now I'm not even up a pawn, right? How is this any better than taking the pawn? At least then I'm up a pawn, right? Okay, let's look at it. This is why it's considered safe. Because with gambits, we're talking about time. Time is of the essence, right, folks? We heard that. Okay, so look. Now the bishop, yes, it's developed on d3, but he's going to want to post that. Let's say black brings his bishop out, right? Aiming at the white king side. All right. White's going to want to reposition his bishop more aggressively to aim at the f7 pawn over there, right? Aim at that black king side. So he would have to either reposition the bishop and also to get it out of the way the queen. Maybe the queen wants to come up on the d file. Who knows, right? Who knows what it's going to do down the road. But if it wants to come on the d file, on the open d file, well, now the bishop on d3 is blocking it, right? So there's two reasons why it would want to move, okay, to come to a more aggressive post over here. Now, look. So that's a tempo. You move the piece again, right? If you want to leave it on this diagonal, aiming at the h7 pawn, well, you got to move this pawn out of the way, right, to increase the scope. Right now it's in the way. So there you go. You're wasting the tempo that way. You have to move the pawn, right? Okay, so one of two things. Either you burn a tempo repositioning the bishop, or you burn a tempo moving that pawn up, right? Tempos, folks, time is of the essence. Now here's another point to this. You got that, yes, you didn't gambit a pawn at this point. Pawns are even, right? But you got the pawn on c3. Very clumsy because the knight wants to come here. That's the natural square for the knight. Look, it could come to d2, don't get me wrong. But look, if you come there, it's going to have to move again because you're blocking in your bishop. All right, maybe you get the bishop out first, and then you move the knight. Okay, that's true. Okay, so, but still, if the knight comes to d2, if you're playing a gambit, and that's the approach you're taking, all right, you're not down a pawn here. You didn't. The gambit, it's not really like you gambited a pawn. But the point is, position for your pieces. They're not aggressively post. If it comes to d2, if you want to put pressure on black, it's got to leap up again. It's still not in enemy territory. You see the difference of this one? Watch this. Look. If you take the pawn, right? Here comes the knight to c3. It's aggressively post. In a gambit, you want those knights on f3 and c3 ready to leap into the enemy position. One move away. Folks, you're one move away. Look, now you're in enemy territory. You're on the enemy's 4th rank. You're in striking distance. Look, the fork, the sack. You could sack on these where the black pieces usually end up either here, on the knight comes here, the bishop sometimes here, the knight sometimes there. You're in striking distance, you understand? One move away, one more hop, and you're in, right? So time, folks, time is of the essence. Every move counts, all right? So there you go. Now here's something funny too. Here's another point to wrap it up on this gambit, right? Here's what the masters conclude with. Okay, probably pawn to d5 is the best move of all. That's right, folks. Pawn to d5. It ties into what we said. Remember those other games, folks, we said in king-pawn games. If black could get in d5 safely, it's a big if. You got to always check that move. But if he could get it in safely, he equalizes. Look at this, folks. Move 4, you push that d5 pawn, it's safe to go. Look, you're good to go. If he takes it, develop with the queen, baby, you take back, and now the lady's posted in the center. Look at all the strong queen posted, real aggressive. In the center of the board, look at all those squares that she influences. Very dangerous right off the bat. Here we go. And why? Why can the queen so viciously come right up, right? Real arrogant. Look at her walking right into the center of this one, right? Because, look, folks, C3 move, you silly C3 move. Look how clumsy it is now. The knight would love to come here and gain a tempo on the queen, right? Attacking the queen, you would have to move the queen, retreat, right? So you're wasting a tempo there. But you can't because the C pawn, no can do. Folks, if you don't remember now the rules of chess, two pieces can't land on the same square. They can't share it, all right? So I'm sure you know that one by now. Okay, so you might ask, all right, wait, if he takes, all right, you develop the piece. Look, don't put it here. Don't block your bishop. You'll see why. Aggressive post for the knight on F6. Come on, get them pieces out. All right, so now the knight tries to put the tempo to you, right? Tries to gain the tempo. Look, if you move and you retreat, yes, you lose a move, right? Lose a tempo. Don't move that queen. Come on, get those soldiers into the battle. Defend your lady. Come on, defend the queen. What are you doing? Pin that knight on C3. All right, if he breaks the pin, now the queen's threatened. Okay, so now you take it. I don't know, maybe he takes with the pawn, right? Takes with the pawn. Maybe he's going to push the pawn up. If he takes with the piece, right, folks, if he takes with the piece, now he's got an isolated D pawn. That's not passed. We got this one. We got the C7 pawn. So he's not passed. And look, he's isolated. No brother pawns to help out. Just structurally, you know, strategy-wise, black would just control the square in front of the isolated pawn, right? Maybe you put this guy here to control that D5 square. You know, whatever white does, who knows? Whatever he does, then you maybe castle long. You bring the rook right to the D file again, controlling the D5 square. Folks, the game plays itself. You just watch for those tactics, okay? And you're good to go. You got a whole plan ahead of you, a very easy plan to follow. Maybe you could eventually win that pawn. All right? You keep that outpost. The outpost on D5. No pawns could boot that piece. You know, any piece, whether it's a queen, a bishop, a knight, can't be booted away by a pawn. You got a good outpost on D5. All right, there you go. I'm getting into the thick of things already. Maybe you know, maybe the white would take this way for that reason. At least that you know, the two pawns. At least it's not an isolated pawn. You got the pawn duo. All right. Maybe you could push this one. You know, you push the C pawn next, chase the queen away. All right, it's a game, folks. It's a battle, you know. I'm not saying that black's winning or anything, but he's got, for black, an equal game, all right? At this stage, so early in the game, all the pieces are still on. Folks, you could get the win with the black pieces. You got a chance. You got a shot. You know what I mean? This is great. And if you understand, just look, D5 makes sense, right, in this position. D5, you're playing off your opponent. You're playing the man, folks. You ever hear that? You're playing the board. You're playing the man. He made the C3 move. Makes sense. Now the knight can't come here. It all makes sense. All right? These are the little cues, the little experience you're gaining with me. These are the things you'll think about in your game, all right? Maybe it won't even be in this opening, and somehow that C3 move, and you'll realize, wait a minute, I could get D5 if he takes. I could take with the queen. He can't bring the knight out. It all works, folks. These are the ideas. You want to gather up all these ideas to use in all of your games, folks. Don't try to play by memorization. That's not, you're not being artistic there. You know, you really got to put them together. You get your ideas and you improvise. You play your game. You play the man. All right, you play the board. All right, here we go. Here we go. So Morphy cheerfully accepts the gambit. Meek takes back with the piece, of course. Come on. Enough with the jokes. No pawn takes pawn. All right. So now Morphy develops his bishop. His king bishop to the aggressive C5 post, aiming down at F2, the vulnerable pawn in white's position, right? Likewise, black's F7 pawn is weak. And that's why Meek throws the bishop up to C4, all right? Now, before we get into this, right, I want to throw one more little pointer to tie it into our other games, right? Because we used to say, look, the enemy king bishop is on, you know, aiming at your king side. Challenge it with your queen bishop, right? Don't fear the doubling of the pawns I said in the other games. Folks, this is totally different. All right, you can't just play by rules. All right, you got to analyze every game. Every little position could be different, and it means the world of difference. Look, there's no D pawn. That's the point here. There's no D pawn for you. Okay, there's no D pawn in all the other positions. You don't have to take my word. You could go back and look at the other games. Whenever I said to challenge that king bishop bearing down on your king side, throw your queen bishop on E3, or vice versa, you throw your queen bishop on, E6 for black. All right, you're challenging the king bishop. All right, there was a D pawn on the board every time. These pawns, these double pawns, I would say don't fear the doubling of the pawns. You control more center squares, right? But you had a D pawn to back them up. All right, so now look at this. This is different. This is terrible for white. This is not what you want to do. Double isolated pawns. It's not just one isolated pawn. Now you got two of them, folks. They're doubly weak, all right, if that's even a word. What you want to do is, again, we talked about it just there earlier, control the square in front of those isolated pawns. You got an easy plan, right, folks? Don't hold me to these moves. I'm just throwing them out there, right? The idea is you want to control that square with your pieces. You got an easy game, all right? And eventually you try to put pressure. Once those pawns can't move, right, they become targets. And you aim at them, you try to win that isolated pawn, or in this case, isolated pawns. And the pieces have to defend those pawns. So now they're trying to defend those pawns instead of coming after you and attacking, right? He's on the defense. You got him. You got his back against the wall already, okay? You're in the driver's seat. You got an easy plan, and he's got to always worry about those vulnerable puppies on the E-file there. Very, very weak. All right, look. Here we go. So now that's just a quick thing. I had to mention it, folks, because, you might, those students that are watching this, they might have said, well, I got to develop a piece. And he said in the other games, just challenge that king bishop. And don't fear the doubling of the pawns. Yes, because you had a D pawn to help out. All right, this is very, very bad for white. Don't do this. Okay. So Meek doesn't do it. Like I said, he develops the king bishop, baby, to the C4 square. Very aggressive. All right, aiming at this guy down here. All right. So here we go. All right, now look. Meek's got the with three pieces. All right, it's black's move. Black, like I said, he's got to get a pawn. He's got to use a pawn push to get the queen bishop. I can't even get the words out. To get the queen bishop out, he's got to push a pawn, right? So Morphy plays D6. All right, fine. There you go. D6, good move. Gonna bring that queen bishop out on the light squares. Now, here we go, folks. Here we got the lecture, all right? Let me take a drink because this is important. Very instructive. You got to know. It's our first Gambit, so I got to get into it with you. I got to show you something now. Here's Meek's next move. Worth a lecture in itself. Here it is. Watch this now. This is what Meek plays. H3! H3, come on, folks. Let me slap you across the face with that one. Come on, wake up. Look at what it says here. The old masters, they knew what the deal was. They had this right. They had it assessed. Look at this. They write right here, I'm not making it up, I'm quoting, and this is a Gambit opening, exclamation point, all right? And this is a Gambit opening. Come on. You don't sacrifice pawns to push other pawns. What are you doing? You sacrifice pawns to get your men out, the soldiers into battle, develop those pieces. Don't push those measly pawns. Look at this. And it says here, it follows up, in nothing was Morphy so fortunate as in the frequency in which his opponents played H3. Exactly a waste of time. They're giving the tempo to Morphy. They're playing a Gambit, and yet then they're handing tempos right to Morphy. Come on, what are you doing? Look. You got to develop the piece, right? Why did he do it? Let's read Meek's mind. Why did he play H3, right? All right, here you go. I guess he's fearing the pin of the F3 knight, right? To the queen on D1. He's fearing this pin, folks. Come on, look. What did I say? Develop the pieces. Don't push pawns. How about queen, right? Queen to B3. Huh? Where's the pin now? There is no pin. The knight can move. Not only that, folks, with the queen of b3, you got the light square battery. Aim it down at the f7 weak pawn, right? You got to check. Come on, folks. Look at this. Check. You got to check. You got to check coming, and you got to check the position. You got to look at what to do here. Come on. It makes sense, right? It makes more sense. You got to understand, right? Follow through. The board will tell you, right? It's telling you sacked your c pawn, right? You gave up the c pawn. The c pawn's gone. Now you got more squares. Did I mention that? You got the d1 to a4 diagonal. Now you got more squares, more choices for the queen, right? It plays into your Goring Gambit, sacrificing that c pawn, right? Queen to b3, it's screaming to be played. It's the best move for you to follow through in your strategy here of gambiting that c pawn. All right, look. Okay, so now it comes. All right, if that's the best move, right, I wouldn't recommend it unless I fought Shredder with it, right? I had to pull this. I had to see, is there enough play here? Well, that's the question, isn't it, folks? Do you get enough? Okay, now, here's the ideas, right? Here come the ideas. Look, if let's go right off the bat. F7 is being attacked, right? So let's say you develop the piece, bring out the knight to defend it. Oh boy, look, folks, here's joke number 2 of the night. Look, you take out the defender, right? You bust those pawns up. You win this pawn with check. Oh boy, insult to injury. Look at this. Where's the castle, folks? Where's that castle? Blew up. The black king's got no shelter. Come on, he's in trouble. This isn't what you want to do. This is exactly why you'd play the gambit against lower-rated opponents. This is what I'm saying. One little move like that and you blow up. Come on, this is all worth the pawn that you gave up in the gambit. This is what you want. The gambiteer would be laughing for this. He would love it. This is what he wants, folks. You're playing right into it. All right, look. Okay, let's look for more sensible moves. This is nonsense right here. All right, that's a joke. Okay, so now what do? Look, maybe some of you kids out there, tactical players, you love the knight forks, huh? Go for the knight fork. Get him. Get that queen, right? We're going to go for the king bishop. Now, obviously, if you move the queen, you'll lose this one, right? So that's the idea behind it. But, folks, remember, you're moving the same piece twice, right? The idea is black's got to catch up. He's got the extra pawn, but he's got to catch up in development. You don't catch up. You're moving the same piece again, all right? So, look, here he goes. He's got the move. He still could take that pawn. All right, so check. He moves over, right? Now it's not even a gambit. He's got his pawn. All right, but that knight, the black knight on a5, is still hitting that white queen, right? All right, so here's what Shredder does. I was wondering what's the best move here. So he moved the queen up to b5. All right, so if you leave the defensive, your bishop over here so the king could take, but now you get the knight. All right, so it's like you exchange minor pieces. You got your pawn back, okay? Pawns are equal, 6 to 6. All right. Pretty much it's a game, folks. I mean, now black, at least, he got that dangerous, king bishop off the board for white. And the queen is over there on the queen side, But he gave back the pawn. So it's a game, folks. Who knows where it goes, right? It could go a million ways. We can't start evaluating this one. I mean, it's a game, all right? Here, I'm just giving you the ideas, right? So now, if after the check and the king moves over, white brings the queen up here, right? Maybe black doesn't want to trade. He pulls the knight back, right? Okay, so you pull your bishop back. There you go. It's a game, folks. Good to go. Who knows where this leads, right? I mean, now the king bishop's still on the board for white, aiming at that king side. Okay, so I don't know. I like the other line. Take the bishop, right? Get that bishop. Get the king bishop off the board. Give up the knight, which, just wasted time just moving back and forth, And now, I mean, now white's still up in development, right? It's actually, whose move is it now? It's black's move. All right, so it's black's move. So anyway, it's a game, folks. Who knows where it goes, right? Let's just leave it at that. That could be a whole war, whole battle unto itself, right? We don't have time to go over all that, but the basic idea, you're moving the same piece twice. So maybe that's not the best move for black, right? I mean, you give back the pawn, and usually in gambits, that is one of the key ideas on the defense. When you have the extra pawn, your opponent gambit a pawn to you, and he's starting to gain initiative, right? He's starting to get those pieces out. There's usually a moment in time where you give back the pawn to equalize, okay? And then there you go. For black, that's great. Once you get an equal game, that's all you're asking for black, right? Okay. So look, here's in that line you did. You gave up the pawn in a funny way, you know, after it's all said and done. But now look, here's another way you give back the pawn. Look at this. Bring the bishop out, right? Challenge that king bishop over there. Now look, if he takes, all right, you got to take back. And now white has a choice. Does he take back this one, or does he take back that one, right? Let's go with this one first, right? He takes the wing pawn, okay? He takes the wing pawn. Now he's threatening your knight. And if you try to protect your knight like this, he wins this guy. All right, don't worry, though. Don't worry. It's nothing to it, folks. Nothing to this. You probably see it. Develop the piece. Come on, get those men in the battle. Look, the knight backs up his brother on c6, okay? And the queen still defends the queen right here, still defends the rook on a8, okay? You're good to go, baby. You're good to go. All right, so at this stage, I mean, who knows? Maybe you develop a piece, you know, you castle here like this. I mean, don't worry the tactics, folks. Look, if he tries to do a fancy move like this, big deal. You take back, all right. So it's a fancy way of trading queens, right? Fancy way of trading queens. No big deal. Come on. No problem. Now, in this line, too, notice, all right, when he takes over here, I should say. He takes here. Your pawn comes over, see? You control, this pawn controls d5 pretty good, so the knight can't eventually, the knight might want to post itself aggressively on d5. Well, now he can't. You control that square, right? Pretty good. Pretty good move. Pretty good structure, I should say. Where am I going with this? All right, here we go. He takes, you take. All right, if the queen comes down, like we said, you back up your brother on c6 with the king knight. And then, like I said, look, you got the open F file, too, another benefit of when the bishops trade on e6. The F pawn moves to the e6 square. Now you got the open F file, right? Influencing the game, the big guns. You got a file for your rook, okay? Maybe you bring, after he castles, you bring the other one over here. You got the B file, right? Not to mention, folks, look at this. See this? When he takes the B, when he takes that pawn, he developed a knight, okay? Let's say white castles, okay? Maybe you hit this guy first. He's got only one square, right? Okay, so now he's way off to the queen's side, and your king is not in any threat right now from any queen, white queen, enemy queen, right? She's all the way over there on the wrong side of the board. Okay, not bad for black. Now get a load of this. Now with the black rook on the B file. Look, you're bearing down on the B2 pawn, right? So it's not so quick. White can't just whip this bishop. Wait, whose move is it? It's actually black's move. All right, you got another move. Here you go. Castle, to put it to use. Open F file for your rook. Both rooks beaming down the open files. Good. Now look, the bishop can't just jump into the game as easily as it wants because look, you hang this pawn. He's got to think about that one. So who knows? Maybe he's got to push the pawn, use another move. You give up the pawn, right? You give back the pawn and you equalize. It's all black needs. He's doing great. If black equalizes so early in the game, this is great. You got a chance to win, right? You're not behind the 8-ball. Many lines, accurate play for white. Having that first move, you're usually at a disadvantage for quite a while. Even a fraction, you know, small disadvantage. It takes a while, maybe 20 or something, 20 moves more maybe before black equalizes, you know. This is great for black. Okay. And I know I'm going into it. I love the game, folks. I love it. I love it. I hope you're seeing all these ideas and they're making sense, right? Now, let's say you take back the pawn, right? You take back the bishop, I should say, and he grabs this pawn. He grabs the center pawn, right? Emmanuel Asker, stating that the center pawns are a little more valuable because they control the key center squares, right? You control the center, you control the game. Most valuable real estate on the board, right? So the center pawn's worth taking opposed to the wing pawn, the B7 pawn. All right, here you go. Offer the queen exchange, simple enough. If he takes, folks, you take back with the develop the piece. Come on. The third joke of the night. Come on, what are we talking about? You're going to retreat. I mean, it might make sense if you want to post the other knight. If you want to post the knight over here, all right, maybe it makes sense. Who knows? Maybe it's not a joke, all right? Maybe the punchline's not as hard on that one. But I say you develop the piece. Come on, get them pieces out. I mean, take it back with the knight. Again, the other one, which looks kind of silly to me, you're going back, right? The queens come off, folks, so the game slows down a bit. You know what I mean? The queen's coming off, the attack slows down, right? But I still say develop the piece. Come on, get the pieces out. That's the Morphy style. Come on, develop with tempos. Come on. So then you're one move away to castle. Come on. You're ahead. You're ahead of your opponent, right? You gave the pawn back, but now at least you're ahead a move. You're the one with the tempo. In an equal game, folks, it's equal. You understand? Now, like I said, if the queens come off the board, the attack slows down, right? A lot of power comes off the board when the queens are exchanged. So think about this psychological chess, folks. You're reading your opponent's mind. He gambited a pawn, right? He gambited a pawn. He gave up material to try to get the jump on you, to try to get the tempos on you, to bring the men out. Why? Because he wants to attack you. He wants a swift, quick victory. He wants to strike. So why would he want to trade queens? It's most likely not his style of chess play. So he'd probably retreat the queen. He'd run, giving you another tempo, folks. Do you understand? So he's playing right into your hands now. You gave up the pawn, right? You gave back the pawn. But now he's the one falling behind. Look, he's attacking B7, all right? I didn't really analyze this, but let's say you put the move to good use. You defend that B7 pawn. You castle long. You're ready to. You got the rook, ready to swing into the game. It's a whole other fight, right? It's a whole other battle, folks. I think Black's doing fine. All right. Even the evaluation up there, if you see it, it's minus 0.12, right? I mean, it's practically even. It is even. It's an even game. Don't go by the fractions, folks. I heard kids at a tournament once. They were saying, oh, look, they're analyzing with their Fritz, right? And they're saying, oh, look, now I'm losing 0.41 of a pawn. I'm losing. Come on, folks. This doesn't mean anything. It's the big wild swings, like I said, when they swing to -5, -6.5 pawns. You know what I'm saying? Those are the mistakes. Those are the ones you got to worry about. Okay, here we go. Even game for Black. Black's doing fine. He might even be a little better than White. White's on the retreat, right? Okay. So there you go. That's one way you give back the pawn and you get your equal game for Black, okay? So these are some important points. Now, look at this. Like I said, I'm fighting Shredder. What was Shredder's move, right? What was his move? All right, the Silicon Monster, right? Calculating million moves a second. He moves the queen up to D7 to hold on to that F7 pawn, defend the pawn with the queen, right? All right. Now look at this already, folks. This is what I'm talking about. You're making concessions. You open up, you play D6 to get out the queen bishop on the light squares. And now look, you're blocking it out with the queen. You're moving the queen to D7. So now this guy's blocked in, the bishop on C8. You see it? So, okay. So you're trying to hold on to material. And you're starting to make concessions. You're starting to yin and yang, folks. He's got the material, but he's giving up other things. He can't develop that queen bishop now. Can I build off of that? See, this is what I'm talking about, the tempos. You might not get those tempos right away, but Your opponent might start twisting and turning, trying to hold on to that pawn. He's making concessions, folks. He's trying to hold on to the material. You're getting your men out. Now, all of a sudden, he's twisting and turning like a pretzel. It's like he's got a straitjacket on. All of a sudden, you start sacking pieces. You got the initiative, folks. You got the attack. He's got nowhere to run. His pieces are on bad squares. He's all twisted up. And the next thing you know, you got the checkmate, folks. You checkmate him and you got it in grand style, folks. That's why we play the Gambit. That's why we're Gambiteers, you understand. That's why you throw this at anyone under 2,000, because the defensive technique is not the best, all right? Again, I'm just reiterating the facts, folks, telling you the facts. I'm trying to give it to you. All right, so here we go. Shredder trying to hang on to material. The Silicon Monster calculating, right? 1,000,000 moves a second, trying to calculate the material and hold on to it. All right, here we go. So now what do we do, folks, in this position? Let's say we castle, right? Sensible. Get that king to safety before we rip it open, right? All right, here comes the knight. Again, folks, do you want to go here? Come on, we heard this joke before. It's getting a little old, right? Come on, what are you doing? Now, that would be worth it, folks. You know, you gambit the pawn to bust up the enemy king side. Look, the queen bishop's still on c8, can't get out yet. He's not going to castle long, right? He's not going to castle long. And he can't really, if he castles short, look at this king side, it's busted up. Come on. Come on, that's what we want. That would all be worth that pawn, that c3 pawn we gambited. That would all be worth it. You give up something, you get something in return, right? Plus now we have the initiative. He's playing right into the gambit, folks. All right, you don't want to do that. Come on, here's a new joke. Look at this one. Come on, can you move it here? Folks, come on, the queen's defending f7. Why would you block her out? Come on, that's another joke, all right? Lots of laughs coming in this game. All right, so the knight comes out. Sensible move, right? Let's face it. This is not a crazy move. These moves are not crazy, right? Here we go. Knight to f6 makes sense, okay? Natural square for the knight. All right, so now you're threatening to bust them up this way. You're threatening to bust them up, right? Bust up that king position. There you go. It's worth the pawn. Now, look, you got this out. You got the outpost, f5, folks. You got a beautiful outpost. Who knows how this one goes? You know what I'm saying? You want to maybe swing a knight over there? Oh, forget it, folks. Look, you come down threatening to take, forking the king and queen, right? All right, so if the queen moves here, forget it. You just lost it, right? You got to move. All right, you got to protect that pawn. Pretty awkward move already, right? Pretty awkward. I don't know. Maybe you go there and protect it. What is the genius? Folks, this is the Chess Genius. This is the Chess Genius program. Good app. A good app you could pick up for your phone or your pad, your tablet there. It's a good program. I highly recommend it, the Chess Genius. This is the one I'm using. Very good. Strong. Let's see what it says. It's saying king. Look, folks, king to g7, huh? You got to move the king to defend the king, right? That speaks volumes to tell you where you're at in the black position if that's your best move, all right? Now, again, I didn't let the engine run for a while, so that's true. It probably would find something better. But anyway, maybe not. Look, folks, it's a fight. It's a game, right? You're gonna bring your knights to this square. Maybe you bring this one back too, right? Look, the queen. I'll tell you, this is awkward. Already, it's worth the pawn already. It's worth the pawn, right? If you look at the evaluation, what's it saying, folks? Look at it. 0.06. It's practically even, right? Practically an even game. But the computer calculates piece action and material, right? It goes all by material. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the computer does not have emotions. It's a computer, right? The artificial intelligence, it cannot feel. It cannot feel the danger. What do you look at when you look at this position? You've been playing for a while, right? What do you notice? You go, oh my God, look at my king position. It's busted up. Now look, folks, maybe it's 1,000,000 moves away, so the computer can't calculate it and find it yet. But that's very dangerous. You have the feelings. This is the advantage of a human. You have the feelings. Maybe you can't calculate 1,000,000 moves a second, right? But you could automatically sense danger. It cannot, folks. It's a machine, all right? Folks, look, I know we're living in strange days. And trust me when I say it, I think that day's coming when the computer will feel, right? God help us, right? Oh, God help us. I don't know where we're going to go from there. We've already got some pretty wacky days we're living in. Who knows what it'll look like then, huh? Who knows where it goes from there. All right. Let's just keep our minds off the craziness of life with this beautiful game of chess. We'll get into the craziness of this game to distract our minds, right? All right, and have a little fun while we're at it. All right, so here we go. So now the knights, right, they swing into they play for that, they fight for that F5 square. You see, again, your opponent now, if you were black, your opponent now has an easy plan. Attack that king. Play for the F5 outpost. Get those knights planted on there if you can. You know, the whole game is going to be around this. Can the black king survive? White's got an easy, straightforward plan to follow. You don't want to play like this, folks, okay? All right. So anyway, the bishop coming up. All right, so what do you do, folks? I don't even know. I don't even remember what Shredded, I think, oh yeah, Shredded threw this one in. He combined the ideas, all right? Sensible. He combined those ideas. He threw the knight over here. Okay, so now the best move for White was this, and he actually takes the bishop off the board. All right, you don't want to trade, then you're just down a piece, right? So you got to take your piece back over here. So you got your dangerous king bishop off the board. All right, so the threat on F7 has died out. But look, black's still down tempo. There's still a threat of busting his king side by this, right? He's threatening to bust the king side, get that F5 outpost for those knights. All right? So anyway, it's still a game, folks. I don't know. What is I think Shredder threw the knight. I mean, he could offer the queen exchange, I guess. He could do that. Oh, but that's right. Here was the move. This was the move. You throw the knight there, right? Now you're threatening to take again, still on F6 knight here and bust the pawns. And if he tries to take you, because the knight's not pinned, right? If he takes you, this is dangerous, folks. Now look at this. Look at this. Now the queen's got to move, right? Where does it go? Maybe you offer the queen exchange, right? You try to play it up here. Folks, if you play it down, right? If you play it down, your king's running out of room. I don't know. You're playing right into the Gambitier's philosophy. They bring these rooks right to the open file. Folks, it's dangerous. This is what the Gambitier wants this. He gambits the pawn. Big deal. He's down a pawn with this. Come on. Look. I think White's doing fine. Again, the evaluation, 0.09. I take it every day of the week, folks. I take this. Come on, who has all the play? I mean, Black's got the bishop here. Big deal. Big deal. All right. It's a game, folks. I'd rather be White there. I think once this occurs, right, Black can't castle. He's got to move, all right? He's got to move that king over. He can't castle. Now it's awkward. Who knows what happens, right? Wow. Look at this. Can the queen? Yeah, the engine's saying it, folks. I can't help it. I get sucked right into this. Get sucked right into it. Now he could get the 2 pieces for it, right? He could get the 2 pieces, but is that enough? You know? So where's the queen go? What's the queen really do here, right? They're saying queen F5. All right, it's a square, right? I don't know. I don't like it, folks. All right, he's giving up. He's giving up material here. How about doubling? How about you double the rooks, right? I mean, this is getting pretty scary. What does it do on doubling the? I'm off the cuff, folks. I'm just playing it off the cuff, right? What does he do? He's got to. Okay, he could go there. Obviously, he defends it. The queen's still defending it, right? Yeah. Well, wow, he takes there, I take there. It's a game. Oh, wow. If the knight moves, look at this, folks. If the knight moves, huh? He comes right in. So something to watch. Folks, it's a battle. All right, it's a battle. Who knows, right? Who knows where it goes? That's a good one. Interesting, right? We're getting sucked right into it. We're getting sucked right into the fight. Excuse me if I missed something. I'm sure, I'm not sitting over the board Look, I'm not the sharpest tack. I admit it, folks. I'm not the sharpest. I don't have the. I love tactics. Don't get me wrong, but I like the slow game. I need a lot of time. I like to investigate moves. I like to really look at the crazy ones and find ways in which they work. You know what I mean? I'm not much of a blitz player. I got to be honest. I love the long game. The slower the game, the more creative I could become. That's my strength. I really see moves that I look at all options. It's something I just tend to gravitate towards. I look at those impossible moves and I find ways in which they work, you know. It's something crazy about me. My style anyway, I guess, right? But anyway, if I'm missing something tactically, right, you know, maybe I missed something. I didn't really evaluate it. All I know is when the knights take like this, I said, oh, that doesn't look good for black at all. All right, say he puts the queen, he does the queen exchange, or he offers it, right? I mean, we get the check in, right? Now, look, folks, here's a good one. You got to understand the spirit of the gambit. You're playing your lower-rated opponent, right? What's he do here, folks? What's he going to do, right? If he moves, for instance, the pitfalls, the traps, he's got two squares. He's got this one, right? Either way, he can't castle anymore in this game, okay? So there's your pawn sacrifice. You're getting it back here in the form of black can't castle. He's awkward. His king is awkwardly placed. All right, so he has to move there, right? What if he moves here? This is the other square, folks. Can he go there? Look, folks, you just hung your queen. Remember, you offered the queen exchange? Well, now that bishop on C8 is blocked out by your king, and it's going to be mate, folks. See? You see how it goes, folks? Lower-rated opponents. Come on, there's pitfalls. There's traps waiting to blow up on you. That's the idea of the gambit. Against stronger opponents, okay, yes. The Grandmaster's not going to fall for it, right? I mean, anyway. Look at this. Look at this. You check, right? Now, you don't want it. You got two squares to go. Are you going to move into a discovery, folks? Would you do something like this? Come on, folks. Let's dummy up, okay? So on this one, you go here, right? But now you got a back rank mate threat. But you could just take this pawn, right? You take the pawn. Look at this. Right? What do you do now, tough guy? You got this guy saying, look. Okay, you take the queen. Let me just show it to you. Look. Checkmate. You see? This is the type. Look, you're going to beef up. You're going to beef up on all your combinations and tactics, folks. We're going to be tactical wizards, all right? Well, that's what we're going for. We're going to wave our magic wand. You know what I mean? And here we go. We're going to be strong. We're going to have combinations and all these patterns in our head, right? So Gambits play right into that against weaker opponents. They get the tactical game going. Enough with the positional chess for now, right? We got to learn our tactics. We're going to be at master level with tactics at least. And then we're going to be crushing our opponents. We'll get to about the 2,000 rating. Then you start developing your positional ideas, okay, your positional chess, and then you'll be even stronger. But without the tactics, folks, it's nonsense to get into positional chess, because then you just hang pieces and you miss shots, and you could have won the game already, or you just lose it to a knight fork. You know what I mean? The tactics, and you're going to get burned by them if you don't know them. All right. So there you go. This is just, look, a hypothetical, right? We're going into the hypotheticals, but they're pretty, aren't they, folks? Again, just on the whole idea of the gambit, right? You could see how someone falls into this, okay? Now, look, I know you're wondering, okay? Here's to conclude with this. You might say, okay, wait a minute. He said that Shredder played the queen to d7, right? To defend the f7 pawn, this guy over here, right? Now, what if I just play, it looks logical, right? What if I play the queen to e7 so I don't get into trouble with this? I could bring my queen bishop out on the light squares. Why block them in, right? I'm protecting this f7 pawn with the queen there. Why not, right, folks? All right, look, sensible move, your castle. All right, now where's the knight go? Look, it can't go here. Folks, again, do I even have to say it? Do I have to say it at this point? I want to drill it into you, though, folks. These are the things you're going to pick up From now on, in any game you're playing, you're always going to check, wait, if I bring the knight here, can he bust up my pawns with that bishop? How many different games, different openings, right? It comes up over and over, that choice. All right? You're never going to make that mistake again. You watch this game. Come on, dummy up. All right. So the knight comes to the natural square. It's the only square for the knight, right? Makes sense. These moves are making sense. I'm not just throwing silly moves out. The queen to e7, so you don't block in your queen bishop. The knight to f6, right? It's got to go there. Look, you pin it. Okay? Now you're getting into trouble already because now the knight on f6 is pinned to the queen, right? So let's say your castle, all right? Here comes the enemy knight to the d5 square, very dangerous. Forking that knight on f6 and the queen on e7, right? Now, if you move out of line, remember, you got this one, too, this fork. You got to watch, folks. We've kind of seen this in the other game, right? I forget which one it was. We've seen these patterns before. Either way you go, folks, what do you want? Let's bust them up this way, right? Maybe even take with the knight this time. Who knows? You're right. You bust them up that way. He's got to take with the pawn. Folks, he can't take with the queen, right? Come on, another joke. Come on, we got a lot of giggles in this one, right? Come on, he's got to take with the pawn, right? Maybe you throw the bishop there, going after the rook. I don't know. He moves the rook, then you come in here. Look at this, folks. It falls apart, right? It falls apart right before your eyes, right? Come on. This is what I'm talking about. It's sensible moves, right? What are you going to do? All right, you don't castle. Maybe you hit this guy, right? You try to hit. Folks, it still works. What are you going to take this one when I can take that one? Come on, folks. Come on, we got to dummy up. All right? Look, this is all I'm trying to tell you, right? You could fall into a gambit. You could make concessions, folks. How easy are all these traps to fall into, right? It's so easy to get into it. You can make the mistakes. You're not a grandmaster. You don't have precision. Even the grandmasters fall into them against another grandmaster with incredible tactical ideas. These gambits, sometimes they throw them out for fun, and they work. I mean, the pressure builds, folks, if it's a big game. If there's money on the line, we're humans, right? We're not these silicon monsters calculating a million moves a second. Come on, we're humans. We fall into it. Big money on the line, folks. Big money, right? The money games. You never know. You never know. Even the grandmasters fall victim to it sometimes. All right, anyway. I know I got a lot. And I got more, folks. Here we go. Look at this one now. Watch this. Watch this one. Okay. Again, queen to e7, right? I got to show you this. This is fun. Now look at this. Why even castle? This is what we did last time. We castled, right? And we got the knight there and the bishop coming out and pinning it, okay? All right, how about this? You just go all out crazy. All out crazy. Let's say you lost the first few games of your tournament. You're out of the money. You just say, I'm just going to have some fun this game. Let me just have some fun. Let's see how crazy it gets. You go like this. Look at this. The knight comes leaping in, right? Attacking the queen. But you're hanging your e-pawn, silly. Right? Check. He picks up the e-pawn. King over. Look at this now. You got a vicious threat. Rook to e1, pinning that queen. Folks, king-pawn games. When the e-file clears out and your king still didn't castle and he's on e8 or e1. Oh, boy. Look out for those open e-files. Look at this now. Rook to e1 would pin the queen, right? Here it comes. You play it anyway. Queen moves to safety, wherever it wants to go. Doesn't matter, because it can't protect c7. Did you see this one, folks? Check. And you pick up the rook in the corner. All right, if the knight never sees daylight, big deal. All right, so you won the exchange, okay? And you're down a pawn, all right? Black has this extra d-pawn. Who knows, folks? It could be a fight. Still a lot of game left. White's king stuck in the center, too, right? Like I said, we're going to have a lot of fun this game. Who knows? It's a shootout. It's a crazy game. Crazy chess, right? So maybe that pawn, black will launch it. It's an isolated pawn, but it's a passed, D pawn going right down. No white pawns. No, wait. Let's see. It's black's move. So let's just, I don't know. I don't know, make a move, right? Let's just get this guy out, maybe. I don't know. Is that good? And maybe not. Let's just say here, right? You take that diagonal, nice long diagonal. I don't know. Maybe the knight comes in. It doesn't matter. Who knows? Who knows? It's a whole other game. But anyway, the point is, maybe there's no white pawn. There's no white. Look at it. I can't get off the knight. All right, I apologize. What I'm trying to say is that pawn, that D6 pawn's an extra pawn for black. He can launch it up, maybe cause some trouble, boot the pieces out of the way. Who knows? It's a whole game, folks. It's a crazy one, isn't it? Now watch this, though. Watch this. This is how it ended up with me and Shredder, though. He didn't bring the knight like this. Here's what he does. He knows the rook's coming over, right? And he sees the knight fall. Come on, the computer. He sees all these moves, right? Tactics, right? Here it comes. King over to protect the C7 to avoid the knight fork and also to get out of the pin, right? Covers two. He kills two birds with one stone, right? All right, here we go. Look at this. The rook comes over. All right, the queen gets out of the way. Right? Attacking my G2 pawn. How about that? How dare you? All right, so the knight swings over to F4 to protect that pawn, reposition it in the attack. To open up, look, try to play the knight here now because there is no bishop takes because of my knight. See that? So the joke doesn't have a punchline at this point. All right, so now, if you haven't noticed, I'm still aiming down here. I mean, I could still win it now, right? I could take it now if I want, but anyway, the knight comes out to defend, try to help defend this F7. And here we go. Look at this. The pawn pushes the queen, boots that queen out of there. Where are you going to go? Huh? Very disrespectful to the lady, huh? Because look, the knights, look at it, they control all these squares, folks. The queen's got two squares. It's got two squares. The F5 square and the D7. Now, if it pulls the D7, you're going to say, well, now I can't get my queen bishop out, right? I can't get the queen bishop out. So what am I going to do? Maybe I'll go here. I could still defend F7 with this. I could still defend F7 with the queen on F5, right? Now look at this. You throw the piece up. The knight comes up, attacking F7, right? You're putting more pressure on it. And if obviously you say, wait a minute, I could take that one. Right, folks? Now you got the knight fork. The knight fork. All right, so you take him out with the pawn. It's obvious. But did you forget about this guy in the tall grass, folks? That bishop down there on C1 comes into the game. You take the queen with check. Insult to injury, right, folks? All right, the king moves. Who knows where it moves? Maybe it moves over here because that doesn't look too safe. Nothing looks safe. Look at this. You take him out. You bust the pawns. You take this one. The game is all over. Forget it, folks. It's all over. Come on. Come on. You can't play like this. See how quick? You see how quick your game could turn? This is what I'm trying to tell you, and that'll wrap up this whole long lecture on gambits, all right? This is the spirit of the gambit. You're trying to get your opponent. You're throwing many, many pitfalls. He's twisting and turning. He's thinking he's holding on to the material, that extra pawn, right? And the next thing you know, he's falling into a trap. He's blowing up. All right? This is the whole idea of the gambit. And I figured, I know it's long, but I figured it'd be a nice introduction. Because we're going to have a lot more. And you're going to see Morphy, oh boy, no respect to his other opponents, especially when he feels he's stronger than them. The weaker opponents, he throws gambits at them, and he follows through, folks. It's gonna, if you're not believing me in what I'm saying, you're gonna believe me after you see Morphy's games. Anyone under 2,000 rating, you're good to go with the gambit, and you'll believe me when you see Morphy's games against those lower rated opponents. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. So now, where do we go from here? What were we talking about? Oh yes. Oh yes. All about this one, folks. The H3 pawn push during a gambit. Come on. Here you go. To sum it all up, I should have just, instead of yapping away, I should just put the point to you this way. I got my daughter's balloon. Yes. Right here, I got my daughter's balloon. I got the props today. Look at this. I'm a clown. Look at this one. This is what I think of your H3 move during a gambit. Look at this, folks. Don't you forget it. There There you go, folks. That's the air coming out of your gambit. That's the air coming out of your initiative. That's the air coming out of your attack. That's the air coming out of your game, folks. You blew it. You blew it. You don't play pawn pushes during gambits. Come on. You're fearing pins. You don't fear anything. You create the fear during the gambit. That's the whole philosophy. All right, fine enough. Fine and dandy, right? Morphy's got to prove it. All right, let's see what he does. What's he do now? All right, H3. H3, okay. All right, H3. Let me get the book back out. All right. All right, and this is a Gambit opening. Okay, here comes Morphy. He's got the move, right? He develops the piece, of course. Come on, he doesn't fear this. The pawn moves over. There's no isolated pawns, folks. You move the pawn over towards the center. You control more center squares. You got the open F-file for the rook, right? You got the open F-file for the rook. There you go. You're good to go, folks. Come on. This he doesn't fear. Morphy doesn't fear this. All right, so he's challenging. He has no fear. He's challenging that enemy king bishop. All right, so now look, if Meek maybe develops a piece, right? He's got to develop a piece. Now, if they trade, he keeps a piece in action. You know what I mean? Morphy, look, only 2 pieces. All right, he's got the move, so maybe he goes here. The dangerous king bishop would be off the board, okay? But there you go. Look, you got your pieces out. You're good to go. It's a game, folks. It's a game, right? And actually, wait a minute. You're up a pawn at this point, right? After all those lines we looked at, we didn't even give up a pawn in this line, right? So anyway, here we go. What does Thompson do? At least he wouldn't give up time. That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't give up a tempo, right? Because he takes back and he still has a piece developed, right? But now, if he takes it, yes, he gives Morphy more center control, right? But he doesn't. That's a pawn move. Take him back with the pawn, right? So now Thompson doesn't lose time either. He doesn't lose a tempo because he just takes back with the pawn, Morphy. So Thompson, look, he still got 2 pieces to 2 pieces, right? So anyway, but what does Meek do? What did I just say? Anyway, this is Meek. I don't know if I said Thompson, but if this is Meek, come on. I'm getting so into it, I'm going blank with the names. Here we go. Meek plays bishop to b5. So he moves that bishop again. All right, it's working over here, pinning the knight. Okay, but he moved that piece again. So he just lost the tempo. Okay, Morphy developed a piece. And now he develops another one. King knight to e7, backing up the brother on c6, right? Okay, the knight's still pinned, but at least he's backing him up. If he was to take, Morphy could easily take back, and that move would be senseless. He would just take, he would give up another tempo, because now Morphy moves the knight to a more aggressive square, the king knight. All right, so he's ahead 3. He's ahead of, he's developed ahead. He's ahead of him. How else could I put it? 3 pieces to 2, right? Now over even here now, he's ahead of him. Look, the knight comes out. 4 pieces to 3, right? Where did those tempos go? The H pawn push, which we emphasized, right? How bad that is. And now the bishop moving a second time. There you go. That's why Morphy's ahead a piece. And he didn't even sacrifice a pawn. How about that, right? Morphy, the master of the tempo. All right? That's his middle name. And look, the master Morphy gets his pieces to good squares. It's not like he's just throwing them out there into the wind. Folks, look at the bishops. They got good scope, right? The knights strongly placed. They're backing one another up. And he's just playing move after move. Boom, 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 bada boom, bada bing. They're all coming out one at a time, right? Rapid fire. Boom, move. Good square. Boom. Another piece out. Good square. Another piece out. This is master play. This is how you play the game of chess, all right, kids? All right, you get to the point. You get those soldiers into battle. All right? Now, what's next? All right, now get a load of this one. Get a load of this. What is after all my yapping away, what does Meek do now, right? What does Meek do now? Okay? The knight comes out to e7 for Morphy, right? Okay. Look at Meek. He throws a piece. He moves another piece again. The same. The knight's already developed on f3. He throws it out to g5. So he's moving that one twice. Look at Morphy. Does he fear the knight taking the bishop? Oh no, he's going to give up the bishop here. Who cares? In this case, he develops again tempo. He puts the move to good use. If you're going to take this bishop, folks, you see, you got the open f-file for your rook. You got the pawn moving to the center, controlling d5, right? This knight can't come here now. So look, you're getting things for that bishop pair in return. You understand? So now look at Morphy's pieces. Look at Morphy's pieces, just to throw in a silly move. Look, you're bearing down on f2. You got the open f-file for the rook. Come on, folks, you got to get with it. Look, so even though you give up the bishop pair, it means nothing. Look, you're ahead in development. Look, the knight jumped. The knight, folks, it jumped from f3 to g5 to e6, right? 3 moves to take the bishop that was on e6 that only moved once. You're burning 2 tempos there, folks. You get it? You're giving up a piece that moved 3 times, and you're taking a piece that only moved once. Again, the master of the tempo, Paul Morphy. Right? Now, look. And folks, this is why you're picking up Morphy's style. It's ideal for beginners. This is why beginners get into trouble, because they don't understand these things. Pieces to good squares, don't waste time in the opening, okay? 90% of your problems, and Morphy's got great tactics, so you're going to pick up great tactics. These are the things that are problems for all beginners. This is where they're all weak, and sometimes they never strengthen their mistakes up. Geez, going over these games, you're going to be so strong like Morphy. You're going to have great games. You're going to have a lot of fun playing this, all right? And you're going to have a deep understanding of how the game evolved and all that. Okay, so look, believe me when I tell you, 300 of these chess games, you do this in your sleep. All right, look, Meek doesn't take the bishop, okay? He doesn't fall for that one, okay? Look at what he does, though, folks. He brings the queen right into the attack. Holy smokes. He swings it right up. He's threatening mate on h7. Holy smokes. He's still like, let's say you boot that. You don't want the bishop to take your knight or something. You get scared. I don't like him over there. And you fall asleep, and you come back to the board, and you look, and you go, oh, get that bishop out of there. Folks, he's got the one-move mate on you. Come on, all right? I'm showing you the obvious. All right, so what do? The queen flies up here. All right, come on. Let's calm down, all right? Morphy's got it under control. Come on. h6, you boot the knight. Come on. Get out of here, you. Come on, you two. Leave me alone with your one-move mates. Come on. What do you think? I'm going to fall for that? Come on, I may be young. I'm only 21, but I'm not going to fall for this one. All right, so anyway, look, here we go. So now the knight moves back, right? And you'd say to yourself, why did Meek even do this, right? Oh, he's created a weakness in the king side. The pawn has come up, folks. It could become a target, all right? So anyway, we'll see how that works out. So now, what does Morphy do, right? Here we go. He swings the knight, move 11, right, folks? He swings the knight over here. He posts it on g6. He's getting those soldiers into, the defensive, he's moving it, positioning it to a better square. He's controlling that e5 square. Very important, right? The 2 knights now controlling this. They're kind of stopping this for now in case he wanted to rip it open. But, folks, the white king's still in the center. So if anyone wants to rip it open, it would be Morphy, all right? So anyway, here we go. Here we go. Let's see what happens next, right? What does Meek do? He follows through with his idea, his plan, his kingside attack. Here it comes. He's launching the G-pawn. He's going to try to rip open the king side like a can opener. Just to show you, I'll just throw some senseless rook moves over to the side. Here's what's coming, folks. He wants to rip it open. See that H-pawn sticking out now. So he gets to it, and he gets to try to rip open the king side. You don't want something like this, you know what I mean? And then the knight comes back in there, and you're threatening mate again, you see? Now, come on, Black's got more moves than the senseless rook. Rook moves back and forth, shuffling the rook over there, doing the dance, all right? Senseless. All right, so Black's got some moves. What does Morphy do? He puts it to use. He puts his move to use. He brings another soldier over to the king side. Look at this. He's trying to help it out. You got to get the men over there to defend, right? And put pressure. Pose questions. Look at Morphy attacking the F3 knight now. What's the F3 knight going to do, right? All right. Meek takes him out. Now, which way are you going to go, folks? Get a load of this. He takes with the pawn. He takes with the pawn, and he opens up the D-file for the lady, all right? The queen could swing up, all right? Here we go. Look, and he creates, if you haven't noticed, a nice outpost on F4. Worth mentioning, folks. Keep an eye on this one in the game. Look, no E-pawn here that could boot him out. No G-pawn to boot out any piece that lands on F4, right? Now, yes, he could, if he throws the knight up there now, this dark square bishop would grab him in a second, all right? Take him out, okay? You don't want that knight landing on that outpost. That's dangerous. Nice place for the knight, though, right? No white pawns could boot him away from that square, and it's protected by this E-pawn. All right, here we go. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it now. If he goes here, can he just take the pawn? Holy smokes, wait. Oh, I was going to say you could get one of these, but the bishop's here, right? I don't know. Maybe you could work the tactics out. You try to do it. Anyway, okay. Okay, I didn't look into all this, but, folks, there's no A3 there. Okay, let's see what happens, right? Morphy takes back the knight. Let's stick to this game. Enough of me diverting. All right, folks, so hold on now. It's going to be a wild ride. Meek pushing the G-pawn up. That G-pawn acting like a can opener, getting ready to rip open the enemy king side. All right, here we go. Morphy, okay, does he panic? Does our hero panic? He's under the gun. Look at this, folks. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Look at this. He goes on the attack himself. Queen to D4, attacking the F2 pawn. Getting ready to go and blow for blow, folks. All right, Meek. He's hip. He brings the bishop up to the task of defending the king from the queen. Oh, boy, look at this. Get out of here, you. Come on, leave my king alone. Bishop to E3. All right, Morphy repositions the queen to B4. Remember, folks, she's got to protect that C5 bishop. All right, Meek knows the deal. He takes off that enemy king bishop. Very dangerous piece aiming at his king. He takes it off the board. Morphy going wild. He takes the B pawn instead of taking back. He takes the B pawn. Now he's forking the knight on C3 and the rook on A1. Holy smokes, what's going on, folks? It's getting pretty crazy. All right, now Meek, right? Get a load of this. He's aiming down at the rook, right? But if he takes this rook, folks, it gets even crazier. Look at this. Morphy grabs a rook of his own. Now, this is very dangerous. Look, if the king comes up, we got a lot of threats. We got so many threats for, as black. Morphy would have so many choices, right? Sometimes you get dizzy. He could take the knight, right? He could throw the knight fork up here with check. Who knows? I don't know, maybe he checks the king first, and if the king tries to protect the knight, that Morphy could grab next. Here comes the knight fork again, right? And you grab the queen, don't you see it, folks? Knight fork. Queen, look at that F4 outpost. I told you. Keep an eye on that one, folks. It's going to be very influential the whole game. This is the notes to the game, folks. And that knight is flying to F4. You see, this is why the moves are being made on the board, right, folks? This is why Meek chooses. He chooses not to enter this dangerous line with all these threats. Forget about it. He doesn't grab the rook because, maybe Morphy grabs this one. Meek comes up. I don't know. Maybe he comes here. Maybe, all right, if he comes up, right, then Morphy gets two. He gets two rooks, right? How's that trade? You take one of my rooks, I take two of yours. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a fair deal for Meek. Now, Meek could block. Maybe he saves his knight. He blocks, right? Then we pick up this guy. Maybe it would go down this avenue, okay? But look at this, folks. This isn't as good as what Meek, I think, is wise to choose what he chooses, right? Because this, now look at that. Knight is pinned. We got our other guys coming into the fight. We got the rook swinging to the open D file, putting pressure on the pin knight. Come on. What are you going to do? I mean, okay, if the bishop comes back to help out, you got this one still coming into the battle on the f4 square. I don't know, folks. Looks pretty shaky for white. I mean, the pieces just pile up. They pile up on that knight. All right, but look, who knows what happens, right? Let's go to the game. That looks pretty dangerous for white. So Meek, after Morphy takes the b-pawn, right? Crazy, folks. We're going crazy. Meek, he jumps to the king to safety. All right, he finally castles. All right, he linked up them rooks. Now there's no queen takes rook nowhere to be found, right? So Morphy's got to take his piece back, folks. Remember, he lost his king bishop. All right, so now he takes the knight on c3. So he won a pawn on b2, and then he takes his minor piece back, right? But look, again, Meek still got the exchange. He wins the exchange. Okay, Morphy takes back. Folks, hold on. This is still a roller coaster. We're only halfway through. Here we go. Now what? Well, now what goes on? Look at this. Meek trying to battle back. He hits that queen. Get out of my position, you. You're causing all this trouble. Morphy refuses to leave. He puts the queen to b2, forking the a2 pawn and the bishop. Don't forget this one, folks. Meek repositions the bishop. All right, he's aiming down to swap bishops. Who knows? He repositions it for now. He's protecting the a2 pawn. But still, if you're going for something like this, maybe, you know, if Morphy wins the a2 pawn, Meek might have been thinking, good, this is what I want. I want to enter. I get a pawn of my own. Big deal. Grab my a pawn. Now I got your c7 pawn, and I'm going after your queenside pawns. I got a rook on the 7th, folks. Remember, into the enemy position, causing havoc, right? Wrecking havoc. Meek would get counterplay. So he's trying to bait Morphy. He's trying to bait him into grabbing that a-pawn. Exchange of bishops. Morphy knows the deal. Come on, he sees it a mile away. He throws the knight to the post, folks. He throws the knight to the post. The outpost on f4. Good move. Now look at the dangers that crop up when you get a knight posted on an outpost on f4, folks. Watch all these tactics for the rest of the game that come into play. Folks, this knight, it's a shining star. It's a knight in shining armor. Come on, look at this knight on f4. Watch the play now you get with this piece posted. Folks, Morphy gave up the exchange, right? He gave up the rook for the bishop, the dark square bishop. Where is it now? It can't be found. It's in the box, folks. And now it can't do nothing to take out this knight. Who's going to take out the knight on f4? It's going to have to be a rook, right? Or white's not going to want to take it out with the queen. Come on. So let's dummy up. But look at this knight now. It's equal to a rook. Come on. So did Morphy really give up anything when he gave up the exchange? No. He planted this knight in enemy territory. Look at all these squares that it's influencing near the enemy king. Come on, folks. Look at it. We got to dummy up. And look, you got the 2 extra pawns. So it's really like Morphy's up. All right, I'm yelling. I'm losing my voice. I don't think my voice can keep up with this one, folks. The action, right? Here comes the queen. Now, look, Meek went on the attack, right? He went on the attack. So does he want to retreat? Does he want to retreat the troops? Come on, folks. If he pulls it back here, though, look at what happens to you. In the notes to the books, in the notes, the old masters, they see it, right? Folks, they write about this one. This is great. Watch this. Pawn takes pawn, hitting the enemy queen. Now, where does it go, folks? Come on, where does it go? Can't go there tonight. Can't go there because of the G7 pawn. Can't go here because of the king takes it out, right? It can't go here, folks. It can't go here either. Another reason why Morphy didn't swap these guys. The bishops, right? You want that bishop to control the G4 square. You see what I'm saying, folks? Now the bishop controls that square. See, it all matters to the order and how you do things for your combinations. Look at this. It matters, folks. So now the queen can't take the pawn. Come on, dummy up. Look at this. You got a knight fork. A knight fork. Where's the king go? Doesn't matter. You get the lady, folks. The queen goes in the box. Game over. The queen goes in the box. Game over. Come on. Let's see it. You could see those from a mile away. Look at this knight posted on F4. Beautiful outpost. All right, so you can't take the pawn. You can't move anywhere except here, folks. It's your last option. And wouldn't it be beautiful now to get the knight fork over here, right? But you can't do it, folks. Why? Because the bishop takes you. But remember, folks, you got the move. Now you trade the bishops. The bishops come off the board, and there you go, folks. You get your knight fork. There you go. The queen goes in the box. Game over. The queen goes in the box. Game over. Come on, folks. Look at this one. You're up a queen against the rook. Come on. All right. Queen and rook against rook and rook. No contest. All right. Black's winning. So there is no option. After this one, forget it, folks. So now with the knight coming up, hitting the queen, Meek's only choice is to retreat the troops. The queen pulls back to D1. It runs, and now Morphy takes over the attack. Look at this now. What does he do, folks? The knight goes on the rampage. Here it goes. Knight takes H3, check to the enemy king. Now the king's got three moves, three choices, right, folks? He could come to G2. He could come to H2. He could go to H1, right? Let's cover them all one at a time. H1, simple enough. Knight fork. Again, the knight fork and the queen and the king. All right, you'd have to give to the rook for it. So you get back the exchange, and look at this position, folks. You're up. How many pawns? 7 pawns to 4. Come on. All right, look. Maybe you're looking at some kind of tactics like this, right? You go and then you get the queen in, and who knows, right? You get the initiative, the king move, and then maybe you get this guy down here, right, folks? All right, who knows? I didn't look that far, because you don't even have to worry about that one, right? Here you go. Look, whatever the knight, if the bishop takes now, or the pawn comes, right, and then you take, right, you just throw this queen check in between. The in-between queen check to cover that G4 square. King moves, then you go up. Then you take then you take your piece back, right? Maybe he does it this way, right? Maybe he tries to trick you, and he takes the bishop first, right? He takes the bishop first. For instance, he goes, it's white's move. He takes the bishop first. All right, you got to take back. Now he tries this guy. Come on, now you throw the queen check in. All right? And you're good to go. And even on this one, you could take back the pawn that way. You know, who knows which way's better for now? I don't even know. Doesn't matter, folks. Look at this. Look at this. You got all these pieces. I mean, wait, where was that queen? Right there. I tell you what, take back with the pawn. Right? If he tries this nonsense, you're coming right down. Right? You're coming right down with check. I tell you what, you could do it like this. Wait, let's see. He's going to take. He's going to get that one. Let me just see how it goes. I need to look. He's going to go here, right? All right, he's going to step to G2 then. All right, well, you still have the pawns, right? Want to do that. Don't want to do this. I was going to say trade the queens off. Who cares, right? But he does grab your pawn, right? This might be a little tough. These confounded rook and pawn endgames, even if you're up a pawn, it's still hard to prove, you know. So look, let's say this is the deal. He takes. Do we even have to take back, folks? Look. Do we even have to take back? Come on, folks. What do we got here? Let's see what the chess genius does. Look at this one, folks. Evaluation, right? Let's go back. Let's look at the evaluation. Okay. Whoa, wow. Now it's easy to find. Look, it's saying mate. Wow, mate in 7 moves, huh? But my idea right here, just to show you, where's the queen? The queen can't come out to G4 now, right? If he comes over here, who cares, folks? It's mate in 1. Look. He has no squares, the white king. Come on, look at this. What's the genius's idea, right? He says this is a mate in 7, huh? How about this? Mate in 7, king to G1, right? What do we do? I was just thinking of something else. Look at this. You go here, right? He goes there. Can we just, again, in a different pattern, folks? In a different pattern, you just come up like this, right? And if he checks you, because you're going to mate, right? You're going to mate on H2. Look, if he tries to check you like that, don't take the pawn. Then he gets the queen check in there. You see that? Just slide it on over, folks. Slide it on over. If he comes down with the queen check, really, folks, now he's got nothing. Now he's got nothing. It's over. Come on. All right, anyway, look. I didn't even go into this one. You got it covered, though. Black, I'm sure. You work it out yourself. You find your own checkmates, right? I'm sure there's all different ways to do it. All right, so what are we talking about? Right here, no problemo. Take it, you get the exchange back, and you're up all these pawns, okay? Forget about it. No contest. No contest. All right, that's the simple one, folks. That's the simple answer. Now watch this. Now what if he comes to here? Watch the beauty of these lines. All right, watch this. Knight takes F2 again. That's your move, right? Oh, wait, my fault. You take the bishop. Don't let me forget this one. Very important. Take the bishop first. If he takes the knight, big deal. You take your exchange this way. You get it back with check. Look at that. Right? You're good to go. Same idea. You're up all these pawns. Forget it. It's your move. Hey, you protect this one. Why not, right? Who knows? Maybe you come back actually even better. Maybe you come back. Let's see. What do? You don't want to just grab because then he comes into your position, right? It bears repeating. Let's say you move back this way to protect it, all right? Now, if he takes here, forget it. You start getting the checks in. He's in trouble. All right? There you go. You got the attack. You got the extra pawns for an easy endgame win. Forget it, folks. He's not going to do this. All right? He's going to take back this way, right? He's going to take back this way. He's going to take the bishop. Here you go. Again, knight takes F2, attacking that queen once again. All right, it's not a fork because the king's on H2, right? So say the queen moves, right? If he takes, big deal. Now you take with check, folks. Now you take with check. Come on. All right, no problem there. Just like before, okay? So now, if the queen moves, right, you got to double check. It's not just a discover check, it's a double check, the most devastating move in chess, right? The king can do nothing. You can't block. You can't take out two pieces at once. So if the king comes back over here on either of those two squares, it's mate on H2, right? All right, so he's got to come up. He comes up attacking that knight. Here comes the queen, baby. All right, look at this. All right, now he's got the knight. It's the queen alone. Now she's got a little help of these pawns. Very, very crucial, folks. Look at this. Check, okay? Where's the king going to go? Now, if it tries to run over here, you don't got this. Let's dummy up because the queen takes it out. Goodbye. Goodbye, attack. Goodbye, mate. And you're down a rook. Good luck on that one, okay? You blew it. You just blew it. All right, so there he goes. He goes up now. Here's the key move, folks. Now, these are hard to find. These are little quiet moves in between the attack. You got to protect that e-pawn, folks. Rook to E8. You got to protect that pawn. Now the king, the enemy king on F5. He's in a mating net. What does that even mean, right? All right, that one deserves a drink. All right, mating net. The queen has no safe. The king on F5 has no safe squares to move to, folks. There's nothing. White could do nothing. Look at the engine. Look, queen F4. That's the best it's got, folks. It's hoping you just take. I mean, come on. Come on, then he gets out of the net, you know. I mean, still, come on. Do we have to put, look, he still come on. What are we doing here? It's over. It's all over. You're picking up rooks all over the place. All right? You took the whole army out with this one combination. Look at that. All right, so this is the best. This is the best that the chess genius could find, right? I go for the mate. Very pretty. Look at this. You check the king up, no other move. Boom! Rook to E6, mate. Come on, the king's got no escape square. It's smothered right in there. It's caught right in the net, right? We caught a big fish. Look at that one, huh? We went fishing. We got our mating net. We caught a big whopper, huh? Look at the whopper we caught. Let's repeat it. Look at this. Look at that white, like Moby Dick, the white whale. Look at this. What a prize, huh, folks? Nice mating net. Caught a big fish. All right. Now, where does he go from here? He doesn't want to go to F5. Okay, so you're saying, wait, he can run. He can run to the side. I think he can do it. All right, if he comes here, folks, it's mate. Right? If he goes there, it's mate. Very nice pattern. If he goes here, right, very important now. Another quiet move. Shh, it's like a secret. Look at this. H5. Did you see that one? Did you see that move, folks? Look at it. Stare at it. It's beautiful. If he takes it, what does it matter? Checkmate again. It works again. Same way, except the pawn's gone on H6, right? Big deal. We don't need it for this one, folks. We don't need it. Very pretty, right? All right, he can't take the pawn, obviously. All right, now what? What's going on? Look, just to show you what's happening, the queen over here now, the same pattern as before, just a rank file, a rank difference. Either it's closer or further, depending on your perspective, if you're white or black, right? It's on a different position on the board. Same pattern, though, folks. They work no matter where they are. You got to find these patterns. That's my whole point. Beautiful checkmate, right? So say white, no pawn push. Come on, look. White tries to block it. Tries to put the rook to the defense of the H2 square. Folks, you come in on G4. You got the G4, mate. We all know this pattern, right? Us beginners. Smother that king on the edge of the board. Pawn and queen. Very, very easy to find. Beginner mate, right? That one. But the lead up to that, not so easy to find. But, hey, it's there, folks. When you're on the attack and you got the king exposed, you see how the tactics come into play. Look at this open board. Pieces are in on good posts that night on F4. Beautiful. That's what leads to the mate. It all adds up, folks. It's like a math equation. It all adds up. It only makes sense. You understand? 2 plus 2 equals 5. It's no different in chess. You got the lone king fighting 2 pieces. Pawns up there to support the queen. You sack it. Then you go on the rampage, mating that, or you get these beautiful pawn and queen mates. All right. All right. Beautiful stuff, right, folks? All right. So what does that leave us? That leaves us with the last choice. Wait, where are we? Okay. That was that one. So now here we go. The knight check, right? The last choice is the one Meek picks. And we're going back into the game. Here we are, Meek, king to G2, baby. All right, this is all we got. Now we're going to the game. Those are the combinations, folks, all brought to you by this knight. Beautiful knight post on F4, so Morphy brings it right back. The best square on the board, right? Look, we could take the pawn too, right? We could take the pawn. I remember Shredder liked to take the material, right? The calculations. It builds off of material, remember. But Morphy knows the deal. He likes the position of the knight on F4. With a check, he could take back the pawn next if he wants. Pawn takes pawn, right? He could get material later. He loves the post for the knight on F4. That's where that knight wants to be, right? All right, so Meek brings the king back to H1. All right, here we go, folks. Now, what does Morphy do? Look at this. He pulls the queen back to B6. All right? Look at this now. Very, very, very entertaining. Look, or whatever. Here you go. Meek takes the pawn, right? If he takes here, and the queen takes back, of course, right? We got a 2-mate threat. We got a 2-mate threat right there. Boom. Mate and 2. Check and mate, right? Check and mate. Checkmate. So anyway, this is, believe it or not, this is what the old masters say to do. Bishop takes bishop. Queen takes. And queen to F3 right here. This is the move, right? This is what it says in the book. Bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, queen to F3 would have prolonged the game. I say would prolong the agony, all right? Because you just push this guy up, all right? Now, the move for Shredder, what Shredder found was this, okay? And then you take this one, so now you're up another pawn. So let's evaluate. You got the queen side pawn majority, right? Because, look, it's important to note. Don't want to forget it. You don't want to grab the material first, right? because then he comes down into your position, and he gets counterplay. Very important to understand. Now he's got a rook on the 7th. He could bring the other rook over to C1, the king rook to back it up. Maybe he brings the other rook to the D file and swings it down. Then he's got 2 rooks on the 7th. Who knows, folks, how it turns out, right? We don't want our opponent getting any counterplay, right? So instead of grabbing the material, again, position, folks, position. Keep that rook out. It bears repeating. I want to be clear on that. All right. So C6 is the move, right? Now, again, the computers, right? They throw this one, the Chess Genius and Shredder. They come up with this. And now you get more material, right? So here, let's evaluate, like I said, you got the queen side pawn majority. 3 pawns to 1 over there, right? Now you got the knight. All right, you're down the exchange, but remember, our knight's as strong as a rook over there on the F4 square. Now, as long as the queens are on the board, it's definitely, maybe it's even stronger than a rook, okay? Because we could go on the attack. With the queen, the attack is still raging. The queens come off, then all right, it calms down a little bit because the enemy king, the white king, isn't in such a threat to be mated now. Brought to you by that knight over there. Very important. So if the queens come off, the knight loses a little sting because it's a key piece in the attack, and the attack would slow down. But it's still worth the rook, I say, and you got all these extra pawns. So even if it's not even worth the rook, however you want to debate it, right? You still got the extra pawns. Come on, folks. You got your other rook. All right, so anyway. This is important to have the queen right now, too, because then he could swing into your position and gobble up these pawns, you know? So that's what White's trying to do. He wants to trade the queens, no doubt about it. And then maybe he could pick off some of these pawns and be back in it. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it could be a draw, all right? Maybe White could do that, depending on the strength of the players, right? If White's a little smarter, he'll get it done, right? I mean, isn't this what it's all about? Anyway, so let's just look at something, though. How many people would move the rook and give up another pawn, being down all these pawns, and you're just going to say, I'll give him another one. I'll move my rook, even though it can't come down right now. It can't even come down. Come on, folks. Those lower-rated opponents, you know how important material is. They're going to say, well, I'll move the rook next. I know it's an open file. I'll do it next. Maybe I'll take this pawn. We'll trade at least, right? Folks, watch the dangers now. The simple choice, right? Again, all the pitfalls. Look at this. Now you get the queen check, all right? There's no blocking. Come on, folks. We got that one covered, right? So he's got to move here, right? Now you get the queen check again. Back over to this file, okay? Because, folks, if you didn't see it, let's pay attention. Come on, wake up. Knight fork. You can't block the queen check. Look at this knight. I told you the tactics fly when you got a knight posted. Knight and queen, baby, the two pieces, they dance. They dance together beautifully, better than any other 2 pieces, right? The queen and the knight, forget about it. They just work so well together. Now, of course, you don't want to block on G2, all right? Come on. Wait, we got to throw the jokes in, too. Don't worry. We got plenty of them, folks. All right, so the king's got to move over. Let's do this, all right? Look at this. Pawn up. All right, you're threatening to take the pawn. It doesn't really matter. The pawn push is irrelevant. I mean, the pawn takes pawn is irrelevant. The pawn push, the idea is to bring your rook right up. Rook lift to F6 is the next move. If he takes it, come on, folks, here we go. What are you doing? Look at this. You're going to bring the rook over to H6, right? Come on, the check means nothing. It means nothing. It does nothing. Come on. Rook over, next move, and it's all over, folks. If he brings the queen back, right? Look, you check, okay? Now the king could go over. That was the idea, queen to G3. At least you could move the king over and prolong the game. Because, look, if you want to block now, if you want to be cute, all right, I'll give back the queen for the rook, folks. Don't even bother taking. What does it matter? You come down, queen to G2, mate. This queen on h2, the white queen is pinned. It's pinned to the rook. Pinned to the king by the rook, I should say. That's the correct evaluation. All right, look. All right, so the king goes over, right? All right. Now, me, right away, come on, knight fork. The game's over. What are we doing here? Game over. Come on, resign already. What are you doing? The game's over. All right? All right, so you're up again. I think we looked at another line. You're up the queen and rook against the rook and rook, right? Plus you got all these extra pawns all over the place. Come on. No contest. Right? All right, now look at this. Now look at the computer. We gotta show this one. Very pretty, very good to see. Good patterns here. Look, queen. It's a mate and 6 now, huh? Mate and 6. Look at this. I think if you go back now that we helped the computer out, we let it, right? It's finding the moves that we gave. It doesn't have to search for them. Look at this, folks. Okay, he's down. Look, mate and 8, huh? Look at this. Mate and 8, right? You stand up from the chair and you declare it. You just yell it out during the tournament. Mate and 8! I like that one, mate and 8. All right, here you go. You come up, right, like we said. All right, the queen goes back. What's he going to do, folks? What's he going to do? You check. He goes over, right? All right, here comes when we threw the knight out, right? We got that fork. Good enough. Good enough for the win, but let's go. Let's play as accurate as a grandmaster. Here we go. They're showing the Chess Genius, folks. The Chess Genius program. All right. Mate and 5 now. What does he got? I'm coming down with the queen to h1, mate, right? What's this queen going to do? He can't even block. What's he going to do? What's he going to take him? Look at this smothered mate. Look at this one. Smothered mate if he tries some silliness like this, right? Tries to protect it. See that? Just to know, look, yeah, you could take it off. Let's just end the game. Let's go get lunch. All right? No, let's not prolong it any longer than you have to, right? All right, fine. So now, what does he do? He only has this one, okay? Here you come down with the check. He leaps up. Here you go. Get the other guy into it, right? He wants to have some fun, too. All right, so now if you come up, folks, look at this pattern, mating pattern. Beautiful. The rook, the knight, the pawn. Even the pawn, even this guy's laughing. He's getting in on the fight, controlling that d4 square, right? So that king can't slip out. He's in the mating net. There he is. Boom. Checkmate. No squares. No safe squares to run to. All right, so this is why he goes here, right? Okay, we hit him over. We take this guy out now. Nothing left but the block. Good night. Good night. It's all over. Look at that. Right in the face. What an insult. All right, right up there. King had nowhere to go. All right. Does it make sense? But look, folks. You got a queen, right? You got in this position. You got a queen, even back here. Come on, after the rook lift, forget it. The rook gets in the game, folks. The big guns on the open file. The rooks, right? You bring the big gun in the game. Is it any surprise at this point? You got 3 soldiers fighting against 1 defender, the queen, right? 3 soldiers against 1. Come on. Come on, like I said, it's the math, folks. It's no surprise, right? It adds up to a mate somewhere. You get all these pieces flying around. There's no hope for the white monarch. Forget about it. It's over. Beautiful. Boom, boom, boom. We show it again in instant replay. Beautiful. All right, look, let's get back. This is what am I getting at? How did this come about again? What are we talking about? All right, this position right here. You protect your queen side. Don't let him in. Don't give him counterplay. And I'll tell you, the lower-rated opponents, they'd go in for this. I would believe it. They take the pawn. They don't want to go down another pawn. The more accurate move, believe it or not, is the rook taking the open file. Okay. And then you get another one. All right? You get another pawn, folks. All right, whatever. Here we go, right? We're going back. We're going back now. That's what the old masters recommend after Morphy pulls the queen back to b6. They recommend just take, queen takes, and the queen comes up to defend, right? You push this one, he moves the rook. All right, there you go. That's the most accurate play white has. and they claim he can hang in. Now, look, let's just take it from here. Maybe they're right. Maybe he can hang in. The white player, maybe he could get some counterplay. Maybe he eventually doubles the rooks on the D file. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it could be a game still, folks. I'm looking to push this guy and boot. Like if he's going to double those rooks, let's say I'm going to boot this guy. I'm going to use this pawn. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe then after he doubles, well, he's got to move, right? Let's say he goes there. Look at this too, folks. I think there's more. Look. Well, let's just leave it. We'll get back to the game. There's more. You can evaluate this one. It's a fight. It's still a fight. Now, look, the queen moves, right? I think this is the best square for the queen, okay? Now, he's going to try to double those rooks, I guess, right? Going to double those rooks on the D file. It's a game, folks. It's still a game. What's this saying? Let's see. I mean, at this point, it's saying we're up 3 pawns, right? I mean, it's 7 to 3, and it's saying we're up 3 pawns, right? I guess after all the piece action and the material, we are down material, but we got the outpost, and it doesn't fear. It doesn't have the fear aspect, right? We were talking about it. It doesn't understand that knight up there in his face can lead to a lot of trouble. But anyway, look, we're going into it, the whole science of this thing, right? All right, it's a fight, folks. I like black. It even evaluates it that black has the slight edge, right? Right here, look, when it's white's turn, it goes to -2.5, right? When it goes to white moves, now it goes back to black. All right, it's saying that it's 2.28. All right, so it's close. I say it's still a game. All right, black's doing fine. So maybe the old masters again, folks. The old masters in the book, they knew the deal. All right, fine. Maybe they fought that one out, and that's how they concluded. They concluded bishop takes bishop, and then the queen up was white's best moves. All right. So here we go. What does Meek do? I think I mentioned it. He takes the pawn, right? So now Morphy takes the bishop, right? He takes off the bishop, and get a load of this one. If the rook takes back, folks, you take with check, and it's a mate in 2 moves right here. 1, right? 1, 2, mate in 2, right? Look at this. Okay. So Meek can't even take back the bishop. Look at this, right? What does he do? Folks, he goes on the attack. He's still on the attack. He's in that state of mind. Pawn check. All right. Morphy takes it off. Come on, leave me alone. Look, the queen can't come up here, folks, with check. You think some perpetuals or something? What are you doing? The knight could play defense from F4 too, folks. All right? Come on, you got to dummy up. You can't do this, right? So, again, the mate still exists. You can't take back now either. Look, 1, 2, 3, all right? Checkmate. Can't take back. So, what does Meek do now? All right, he swings the queen up to G4. All right, instead of F3, he goes to G4. He's trying to keep hopes alive over there. He's going to try to defend the king. Okay. So now watch this, folks. Watch this one. The old masters didn't write about it. There's no notes to this one, and I really love it. This is probably my favorite move of the game, and it makes you laugh. I think it's like I'm reading Morphy's mind from over 150 years ago. I'll tell you, it sounds to me like he had a little joke of his own. Watch this. All right, watch this one. Yes, of course. You could take the rook, right? You could take the rook. Meek would have no other option. Of course, he's going to take back, right? And there you go. Black's up the knight, right? That powerful knight on F4. But look, watch this. This is Morphy throws. He tries. It's almost like a joke. Watch this. He throws the queen over first, okay? He checks the king. The king's got nowhere to go, right, folks? He's got to go here. Now he takes the rook. He gives the option to Meek to blunder big by taking, look, Meek doesn't fall for it. He takes with the rook. Okay, he doesn't bite, right? But let's just say your king's on the same file. It's on the same file as your queen, right? You're getting attacked over here. The knight's posted right up in your face. It's not beyond reason to say maybe he'll take with the king. He'll want to run over to the queen side, get out of the king side here with this knight. Maybe somehow slowly slip over there, run, right? But look at what you fall into now. Right, folks? Look at this one. Did you see it? Check! And now where does he go? Right, that powerful knight again, controlling the G2 square, the E2 square. The king's got nowhere to run, right? So the only move is block. Folks, you take out that blocker. Look, you can force the take back. Here comes the knight, fork to E2, right? And the game's over, folks. All the army's gone. The white army goes in the box. It's game over. Look at this. What a night, huh? What a combination. Oh, man. Can you imagine if he ended it that way? Folks, don't worry, though. Out of all these 300 games in the book, baby, they're all over the place. Believe me, there's some even prettier than that. But look at that, huh? What a combination. And it's all, see, it's simple enough. The check comes in. This is the game. Meek moves over. Morphy takes. And if he's got the option now to take with the king. If he took with the king, forget about it. Look, we got to see this in instant replay. Look at that. Huh? It's all forced. It's all forced now. Forget it. It's over. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff, right? Poetry in motion. Now look, Meek doesn't fall for it. He takes with the rook. All right, fine enough. It was worth a try, right, folks? Look, you don't just go for traps in hoping that your opponent doesn't see it if you're going to ruin your position. But in this case, see, Morphy didn't ruin anything. Look at this. He's still up. He's winning fine, right? He's got no problem. Here it is, his move, rook to D8, taking the open D file. That's where you want the big guns on the open file, of course, folks. Here we go. Bears repeating, right? Now, this next move basically shows that Meek conceded. He had no hope. He just said, all right, let's see how you get it done, kid. All right, so let's bring it home. Let's bring it home, right, Morphy? Morphy up, rook left to D6. He's going to swing the rook over, pinning the queen to the king, right? There's no hope. Meek just pushes the pawn. There's nothing left. Nothing left. Here it comes. Rook to the G file, pin, right? All right, Meek brings the king up. And basically at that point, the notes just say, Black mates in 3 moves. Okay, so I guess right after he made the move, he figured, all right, kid, all right, you got me. All right, you got me. Let's go eat. I'll buy you lunch. Come on, good game. Now, at this point, let's find that mate in 3. All right, good exercise, kids. Very good. All right, here we go. Mate in 3. Do you see it? 3 moves to mate. All right, I'm sure you'll find the first move, right? You get the check in. Okay. There you go. If he goes here, it's all over, right? It's all over. Mate on the back rank. But he's got the block. Okay. All right, so we take off that blocker. That's move number 2, right? Now, if he goes here or if he goes here, let's look at this one. Queen over. There you go. That pattern works with the queen, too, folks. Not just the rook, of course, right? All right, beautiful stuff. Good pattern to see. All right, just to remember the other one, if he goes up like this, see that one? We touched on it before. Look, pawn takes out this pawn on the pawn on E5 takes control at D4. So then the rook could swing over, and that's it. It's a mating net, right? It's in a mating net. All right, there you go. Now, if this was the case, if you took back with the rook, though, here we go here, folks, and then you could slip this right. But come on, it's over, right? It's all over. All right, there you go. Look at this. Whatever. What are we gonna do here, right? Are we gonna lose? Come on. We got the material. We're up big time. No problemo. Meek tipped the king over anyway. It's game over. Game 6, right? 6-0 in this book so far. The American Chess Congress, he's 6-0. He sweeps Thompson in the first round. He sweeps Meek in the second round. Folks, this calls for some sweep music. Here we go, some streak music, right? He's got the streak going, baby. All right, folks, here we go. Where are we? Where are we? I got to find the tune. Right, here we go. Here's one. Here's a good one. All right, folks. As you can tell, I'm worn out from the long game, the long day, right? What a battle. What a battle. I had to scream it, folks. It was so exciting. Back and forth. Meek had that little attack going himself. All right. What are you going to do, right? All right. Let's go get some dinner. We'll go relax, okay? And join me for another exciting episode next time on Morphy's Games of Chess.